あ、日本語、英語で、ミックスでいきますね。
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
助かる。それです。
So thank you, Jeff Sang, for joining the interview today. So I just wanted to, yes,
Thank you for
introduce.
having me.
Oh,
I,
yes. So,
hold on.
mm,
It's an honor, but I have no idea why you would want me, but I'll do my best.
no, I have to, I have to let everyone know that, Jeff Sang, I really think you are a very like humble, like interesting, funny person, charming. So yeah, the moment I believe when we met was through work. So there was a little misunderstanding for like a hotel, and then you step in to try to solve the problem through communication like emails and phone call. And
then it got worse, right?
no,
I
no,
just
no, no, no. Then we actually finally, I think, met in person in one of the like convention shows, IPW. Yes.
Oh, this is okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, you were like just so lovely. I've already heard about you from my colleague, but like an actual person was just full of like charm. It was just a very nice opportunity to meet you.
まあ、
And
なんて
then
お世辞がうまいですね。
ごますり. Uh, and then yeah, we during pandemic time we actually had the opportunity to visit Portland and actually hang out in Portland. It was just
Oh,
very yeah,
that was fun.
that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And then
So
later we got to bike ride too. Wow.
yes,
Wow.
yes. Yeah. So Jeff Sang have a lot of experience with the understanding of Japan culture, and also in like just acting like an ambassador for Oregon, Portland. Yes. First question I wanted to ask is, when did you start to study about Japan's culture? And yeah.
Wow. So I was it has the reason that I got into that is because I was it was その前の段階なんだけど I was like a really kind of a Christian boy. So I ever since ちっちゃい頃から we had to go to church and Sunday school and all that, and I was like, do we have to? I want to go out and play. But then in high school, like socially, I was not a misfit, but a bit of a loner, and I didn't really fit in. And so there was a community, and the youth group and young people, and that actually it added a social element and a place of a emotionally safe place and acceptance, and it felt good. But それ60年代だったんですよね。で、70年代に入ってだんだん保守的になってきたんですよ。クリスト教のその。And that youth group went from being very progressive to very, very conservative and controlling. And really, I think America is still like that. And I was like, this is not for me anymore. But a kind of mentor introduced me to Zen Buddhism. And I was just reading some things, and I went, that's more like me. And
interesting. Wow.
So that's how I got into Japanese culture, was really through the writings of popularizers like Alan Watts, but also D.T. Suzuki, who's introduced Zen Buddhism to the West. And and other authors, Christmas Humphreys. And so I was like, this is more like, I'm all over that. And that's what got me. And then fortunately in my high school, there was a public high school. There was we had Japanese language class.
Interesting. Wow.
That's really because in America, Japanese languages aren't usually taught to teach unless they're like magnet schools these days that are, okay, this is the, half Japanese, half English magnet school. But back then it was just because the sensei is from Japan. So he was just a social studies teacher, but when he joined Grant High School in Portland, Oregon, the principal says, "Oh, I see that you were born in Japan." It's like, yeah. So you speak Japanese? And he goes, "Well, I came over here when I was 10, but I speak." Okay, you're also a Japanese teacher. So that's how things worked back then. It was a different world.
Wow.
But very fortunate. And then so I had access to more than just reading about it from afar. And then I went to the university I went to because they had a 1-year program in Japan with an internship, and that was my big opportunity.
Thank you. Oh, interesting.
So I had 3 years of Japanese in high school.
Oh, okay.
早い話。そんだけ言えばよかったのに、ちょっと長くなって申し訳ないんで。
いやいや、そんな。でも本当に日本語すごい上手で、そういつも感心します。
もうほらね、パンデミックになってもう2年日本に行ってないからもうパーになってるんですよ。
そうですか。
言葉忘れるよね。
そうですね。使わないと。本当にそうです。
So it's not as smooth, so please forgive my bad Japanese.
So, like you have like from your past experience, like teaching English in Japan or bringing the Portland culture to Japan. Do you feel like it's a calling for you to become this bridge connection between US and Japan culture?
Wow. Gosh, that's such a good question. I don't, as long as it, I guess, is very selfish. As long as it satisfied me to do so, then it did kind of feel like a calling. In other words, そんなことすると、あるいはそういう仕事をやってると、その勉強していると、日本に行ったり来たりすることができるから。And just, it's more selfish than feeling like it's a calling. It's just that I love it so much. And I want to do things that I love to do. And it is frustrating on both ends sometimes.
I see.
It's a lot easier to explain Japanese culture to Americans. Even I'm not Japanese, but actually that gives me some perspective, I think, and it helps. Plus, I want there to be some understanding on this side. It's harder for me to explain Americans to Nihonji because that's who I am, and plus this culture is so much. It's not that Japan is homogeneous. It's not as much as they say, but and yet there's 統一民族ということだんだんそれはなくなりつつあると思うんだけど、but it's still easier to explain those differences to Americans. Whether they listen or not is a completely different story, but it's easier to do that than to try to explain this crazy place of the US to Japanese.
I see.
And there's less, it's harder to be, there's more nuance, I guess, here in a way. Culturally, there's more nuance in Japan in terms of the quiet nuances of Japan that still have great meaning. And here, what you see is what you get, but there are so many different peoples from around the world and so many different cultures, even among peoples who look the same or grew up in the same town, because there was less pressure to be this way or that way. So it's a little harder to bridge it going that way.
I see.
Except, and this is what you were really asking, vis-a-vis my hometown, which you see behind you, which I see behind you. And because Portland is a unique place and it's different, and I worry about it given current situation, but no, I do love Portland. It's why I came back. And so to bridge those two between Portland, Oregon, and Japan is, you can say, has become a calling. それも偉いな、楽になったよね。I had to be more careful. I'll try to be more succinct.
いえいえ、大丈夫です。ああ、なるほど。What what are the parts that you love about Japan that made you wanted to go back and again to be there?
Well, because my entree to Japan was like Zen Buddhism, as is a naive person who's never been, one thinks that permeates the culture more than perhaps it actually does. But it does permeate the sense of appreciation of the beauty in everyday life, the sense of our fragility, short time on the planet, the just appreciation of life overall, whether it's a food, oh yeah, the arts, the painting, the ceramics, the flowers. I mean, it just, there's such an appreciation for beauty on an everyday level, and there's a safety, at least in modern Japan, and there's it's just a kaleidoscope of sights and smells and colors, walking down a street with narrow streets with so many shops, and also people don't understand what a beautiful country it is. I don't think Americans, they're getting to know that more these days, but it's such a beautiful country. And it has what I like. It has mountains and oceans. I'm from Portland. We got mountains, and it's an hour, and we've got the oceans. And it just is and there's desert too if you go far enough on the east side of Oregon. But I'm from the west side, and it's got a lot of similarities with the scenery of Japan. So there's almost there are things that I'm not thrilled about Japan, but really those are the kind of things that took me there, kept me there living for 15 years straight. And then really, if you added it all together, since going back 3 times a year for 22 years, this adds another year to that. So yeah, got me there, kept me going. And now I'm like jonesing so hard to get back. It'll be a while, but it'll happen.
Thank you. What do you think about so in Japanese, they have the saying HONNE and TATEMAE. Do you think it's still the same for modern society, or it's starting to feel like a little bit different? People are more straightforward. So to explain honne and tatemae is, I think it's the Japanese society, in their culture is it's polite to not say what you mean, and they just soften things up, tatemae, to go a way around to say things, to try to say what they feel. So it's hard as a beginner of learning the culture, you'll find it like quite frustrating to understand what they really mean. But as you, yeah.
Yeah, well, there was definitely, そういうのもあったんですけど、is it, いや、性格的にはよう似てるとこはもともとあったんですよ。I think that's another reason why I got along in Japan so well, is because I had that, and that's part of really a Portland vibe. Maybe a little more passive, and maybe compared to cultures like on the East Coast of America, like New York or Boston or someplace like, or, Philly or someplace like that, maybe we're a little more less aggressive, but probably a little more passive aggressive. So that's kind of honne and tatemae, right? In a way, it's we go along to get along, and then when you walk away, it's like, okay, what I really think is, oh my God, we have that here. And I think it's a nice way for culture to work smoothly. It's I don't remember the phrase, but 突き出てる釘が歌われるかなんかね。So don't, and then opposite of squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So in Portland is a little like Japan.
Oh, interesting.
And it's just like, yeah, just you go along to get along. And there's unwritten rules, which would be tatemae. That's changing. And then really to answer your question, it's changing here because there's so many people who now have come from other places. Oregon didn't change populations much in the 70s and 80s. It stayed the same. While California grew 3 million people in 10 years in the 1980s, Oregon grew by 30,000 people. It just, you can't even compare. So it kind of was insular. I mean, 島国じゃないけど、島国根性じゃないけど、なんて言ったら田舎根性じゃないけど、because we're here on the West Coast and there's certainly a lot of movement, but people didn't come and live here. And so there was that kind of honne tatemae thing going on. Is it changing in Japan? I think it's definitely changing. And is it changing here? It already has, I think. There's still some of it, but so many people here from the outside. The reasons that honne and tatemae are changing in Japan are different from why they're changing here. But really it comes down to the whole world is becoming more similar to each other. で、日本の場合は、こっちはもちろんそれはちょっと悲しいやけど、とこもあるし、もう、よし、あし、関係なし kind of thing, it's like, economics is really what's changing things in Japan and everywhere, and really influx of people is what's changing it here. But I'll miss that civilized way. You don't have to become best friends with the guy who's behind the sushi counter.
Yeah.
But if you have a polite, and if you show that you have an understanding and that you have an appreciation for the good work that they do, it means something. And at first it's TATEMAE, but if you show any person you have an interaction with in Japan that you care, that you appreciate what they do, it adds to the quality of the experience. And here, it doesn't really add much. People are working just to get the paycheck. Sometimes it seems. And so even if you're super nice and you know what, this was, could you explain this to me? I love the way you did that. You're a great waiter, waitress, service person, whatever it is. Okay. So what, are you going to tip me more? I mean, it's not as pleasant. So that tatemae here doesn't turn into something more, but in Japan it can. And of course there's a bad aspect to it. Like it's hard to say what you really feel. It's hard to be honest sometimes. And that's the part that I have the most trouble with in Japan, at the same time as it's the part that I really think is valuable. 変だね。矛盾してるやん。
いや。でもそうやってこう説明してくれて、ちょっと聞いてみると確かにそうかもしれない。なんかその本音と建前、その距離感、人との人の距離感もすごいいいものだなってすごい思う。
Yeah, and I need a lot of room too. So. その距離を置いて、でもね、距離感を置いといて、親しみっていうの、その感応になるんですよね。When you start being pleasant with, you don't piss anyone off and you show appreciation, again, that creates the possibility of a more intimate relationship, a more meaningful, I guess. Yeah. 意味のある関係の元になるかな。And if it doesn't, it's still pleasant. Right? Maybe among friends, it's good to be able to say whatever you want. I mean, yes, you should definitely. 本音、もちろん本当に友達とかですね。親はまた別の話な。子供がどうかな知らんけど、まあ本音っていうのもえらいとこあるやん。
Yeah, so Jeff have some photos to share with everyone.
Oh dear God. Okay.
Yes.
Be embarrassed by most of these things.
Let's see.
Oh boy.
Yes, please go ahead. Share.
Well, first of all, what the hell happened to that guy's haircut? That was 1970. It says 77, so that makes sense. 日本行ったのは76年ですから。So it was, I think this was after my homestay, and then we got to travel around Japan for a while. And I stayed at that youth hostel in Hiroshima with a friend.
Very nice. Wow.
I don't know any of these people. They were just staying at the same youth hostel that night.
Oh, they took a photo. Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this is much later. when I was working with Poland no Kanko Kyokai. I'm going back and forth to Japan quite often, but sometimes there would be things like this on the radio. Numerous times. Yeah.
Wow. This is in Osaka, Umeda?
そうなんですよ. Yeah.
The interview. Oh, wow.
A little better haircut, but.で、あれよ。So
okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Now the hair is okay, but that beard is weird. これ大学のね、大学の日本語の先生なんですよ。井原先生。She was so sweet. So, 卒業式ですね。大学の卒業式。
いい写真です。
She presented me with my diploma. 井原先生がめっちゃいい人だったんですよ。I've been very fortunate just to know so many wonderful people who helped me understand and bridge those cultures. So she's definitely one of them. So yeah. So in Japan, I was there twice during college, for almost two years. And the day I got back from Japan, the second trip, I heard on the radio music. I knew of kabuki and no and things, but when I heard this mix of Western music, rock and roll with traditional Japanese music by Kitajima Osamu. Kitajima Osamu, he was, he might still be alive, but he's married to Naito Yoko, so an actress back in those days. And everyone says, oh, you mean Kitajima Saburo? No, Kitajima Osamu. So he was a musician. He blended rock and roll and traditional Japanese music. And when I heard this, his car's going, and then the Tsuzumi was, I thought, man, I got to go back and study Tsuzumi. And I was able to do that while working after I graduated, and then a year in San Francisco. But yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Right. So, 昭和56年か. So yes, so I went back to work in Japan, and I think we'll get to that in a sec. But the real reason I was there because I wanted to join Iemoto and study Tsuzumi. So this was at this 国立劇場. Yeah. And really 大したことながら発表会みたいなもんやけど. But I mean, Kokaji, the kyoku there was really one of the earliest, the basic nagauta that when you're sort of beginning, you learn. So it was fun.
Wonderful experience.
あれ、Monsuki Hakama, so my Kyoto family gave that to me. So while I was studying Tsuzumi, what I was doing during the daytime, again, bad haircut, and weird beard, was I was with Ima de Yuto Jet program. At the time, 今になってもう年に5000人ぐらい世界中から日本に行って教えているんですけど、あの時は35人しかいなかった。So we were really one of the first.
Fortune. Wow.
Yeah, 全国で35人. Yeah, pioneer. Yeah. That's my pulled the wagons with the oxen and that's from Oregon. It was on Oregon Trail, right? But no, I was in Chiba Ken Kyoiku Inkai for a year. Wow. And so every day I would go to a different town and teach 5 classes a day. stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, that was so that's what I was doing for a job, and then studying Suzumi at night.
Oh wow, it's very interesting. Did you enjoy the kyushoku, the school lunch?
I never really had, only once or twice really, and I went to
おー、
これ1年やって then I went to Yokohama Shi no 教育委員会 and was for 2 years in Yokohama. And altogether, I think I visited over 200 junior and senior high schools, public schools. And I only ate kyushoku like twice.
Why?
Because the principal would have me into Osetsuma at lunchtime, and then they would send out for like a donburi or a sushi or something for me. So.
Oh wow. Wow.
Which was okay too, but ちょっと硬い、校長先生と、あれね、もう40年近く前ですからね。Things were still really, まあそんな変わってないか。But it's kind of a little 硬い, but sometimes, yeah.
Were the students a little bit shy, or how were they like
Yes.
Oh.
And it really depended on the school because it was all public. But there's still some sort of what they would say top tier schools. And then some that were like in some of the junior high schools I went to, some of those kids were not even going to go on to high school. And there was every type of kid. There was skibon, it was back in those days that chapatsu was 珍しかったんだけど, they were some, I mean, it was just like across the board. Most of them were very shy. And I did use a lot of Japanese, too much. My boss has said I used too much Japanese, but I thought, こんな1クラスで英語をそんなにあれ覚えることないと思うんだけど、動機づけっていうか、I was trying to like really motivate them in a way. So yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
It could be fun. It could be really exhausting too.
そうだね。
すごいいい体験。Yeah, so after that, I did some copywriting for a couple of years at Asatsu International. It's an ad agency, but then they were starting a Japanese television program, and I was hired to be the coordinator, researcher, interpreter for three different correspondents and the anchorman. So it was a daily show. I'm sorry, it was a weekly show on the USA network.
Whoa.
So once a week program across the United States. So that guy standing in the middle in the very back, he was the one I worked with most, and he was also the correspondent for PBS, Public Broadcasting Service, nightly business report. So we also did that segments for that show as well, the Tokyo Bureau. So that was a really good experience too.
Yeah, I can tell like already a lot of like people from different background is in this photo. I can
yes.
tell.
So they brought three correspondents and the anchorman. So the African American gentleman was the anchorman of the show. It was like a news. They called news magazine show. So it was a news program. So he was the anchor person, and then three of those people, the guy I'm leaning on with the necktie, well, actually he was my boss. The one in the back, that was another correspondent, and then there was a Western editor, and you see the woman standing lower, not directly beneath the African American gentleman, but to his right would be our left. That's Akutagawa Mamiko, whose grandfather is Akutagawa Ryonosuke. But the famous author.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and she actually has she has a program in Japan now, and is also very
Oh,
involved with this kind of puppet theater,
mm,
which is really fascinating. But we're
mm.
still friends. I
Oh, that's
actually
really.
I'm yeah. Uh, they were great.
うん、
これ何年間やったかな？ 2、3年やったんだよね。
すごいです。Oh, great opportunity. I cannot help but I'm just so curious by the right the in the this photo right part.
Mhm.
There's the calendar. Why is there like two calendar?
I have just
Why?
like I have my a little view of us covering that. Okay.
あ、
あるね。なんやろな。
yeah, just, just so curious.
なんで2つあるわ。I honestly don't know.
It's okay.
I don't know why there's モノクロ、白く。あれ
Okay.
Okay, wait, I see it now. And because the one on the left is 12月でしょ? And then the one
1
on the
月
right
か。
is 1月. So you guys
あ
see what's coming up
あ、
next. I don't honestly, Eileen, I no memory, but that kind of makes sense. When I like look at it, like, okay, そりゃそうやね.
it's okay. Thank you. That's a weird question, but
And then you can see a little bit of the whiteboard on the just beside the black calendar too, and that's one that I made for production um, production work coming up for the nightly business report. That's mainly for Bob and myself.
very nice.
懐かしいな。
お懐かしいですね。
あら、懐かしいって言うとこれ。こ
わ
れちょっと戻るけど、this is
あ。
初めて日本行った時。So I had
Oh,
I had a homestay in Kyoto for several months, and then I went and I did what I wanted to do again, to go into a Zen temple and get beat up with big sticks. But this was 奈良です。奈良、三正禅寺という三つの松禅寺と書いて、三正禅寺。In Nara, Nara Shi, I mean, right behind Yakushiji. So often you see like a travel poster for the temple Yakushiji. It's famous Sanju Noto. It's been there since the 600s. But that photo was really taken from the property of this Zen temple across the pond, a little pond. And yeah, I went in there just for 3 months, I guess, and it was very difficult. It was,
yeah.
私足が硬い。今、あぐらもかけられないんですよ。もう正座とんでもない。My knees are really totally shot. But 結構硬い。あの時はもう1時間の正座の超過っていうんですけど、朝の今日読んだり、座禅、接心っていう時期もあって、その接心の時はもう一日中、座禅。
Wow.
That's like really rough. And that's the Hojo san. And he Eiji でずっといたんだけど、once you go back to your home temple, then most of the priests can marry.
Oh.
And so that's his wife. She was めっちゃ厳しい。Yeah. She may have been TATEMAE with everyone else, but with me and the other monks, she was like
HONNE
all
all the way.
HONNE all the way.
Oh, wow. I see.
You can
Did you
tell. I mean, just yeah.
Did you lose weight while
Oh my
you were there?
God. How did you? Yes. I mean, I was never like I am now, but even then, I got down to キロで言ったらわからんけど、140パウンド、130パウンドかな。 So I'm now 200 and over 200.
Oh, wow.
Too much information.
No,
But
no,
yeah,
no.
I was
Wow.
like, yeah, I lost weight. A lot of it was from stress,
Mm.
actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
it, mm, but the purpose of it is to become munen,
Yeah.
right?
Well, but it takes a lifetime for a
Mm,
lot of not 3 months.
mm,
Actually, I was just starting to get used um,
oh,
to it when it was time to leave.
mm,
But there was like 2 weeks left,
mm,
and the one of these monks, this guy on the top, on the left side, the one on the right of my left actually
mm.
he's like, "Yo, Gaijin, you've been smiling a lot lately. なんでそんなに笑顔になってんのあと2週間で出られるからっつって言う No,
怖い。
no, not that. でも実はそうだったんですよ。
骨と建前。
Yes, yes, right? I learned quickly.
I see.
はい。
あ
そう、先ほど言ってた、お
うん
寺行ったホームステイの後なんですけど、These are my homestay. It's my homestay family,
う
my
ん
homestay parents. And then kind of over the years,
うん
uh,
あ
that
あ、
one in
な
the
るほど。
middle, on the top middle, that was the
う
first
ん。
one.
ああ、OK。
京都のね、伏見区で、
うんうん。
7代目のお酒の卸屋、それ、もう京都の中心部にあったんですけど、その長者町のところの西本願寺と東本願寺のちょうど間は卸屋だったんですけど、they had built this home in Fushimi and given the kobo and the house to their oldest son.
うん
So, お稲荷さん、稲荷大社のふもとなんですよね。So that first one in the middle is we'd gone, お稲荷さんの山頂までちょっとハイキングして。So then the other one next to it on the left there was a few years later, and la di di di, la di da da. で、本当にそのI still have their same home. お父さんは亡くなれたんだけど、お母さんは94歳でいます。And she's still in the same place. And there she is. これ最近、ちょうどパンデミック、コロナになる前、遊びに行ったんだけど。
いい写
そう、
真です。
94歳ですね。
わあ。
その男は彼女の息子、私の、いわゆる日本の兄弟で、That's why they had me, so I could help him learn English. 半年だけ年下です。But yeah, this was just 2 years ago, before the pandemic.
Great photo.
Yeah. Oh God. これ大学卒業して日本に戻る前に1年間 JAL パックのサンフランシスコの添乗員やってたんですよ。Yeah. Can you tell which one is me?
The most left. The left person with the glasses.
Yeah, that's it. That's me. Hi, you're good. こんな記念写真とかようあったんですよ。次もね。It's like they don't need any. Oh, その間、大学は、サンフランシスコの近くの町、ストックトンっていうところなんだけど。And when I came back from Japan the first time, I took part inその Japanese speech contest there. And 感動賞。My friend, ちょっと、she's the one in the front row holding in the plaid dress there. She won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's still in Japan now. She went back, got married, and has lived there ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good photo too. I love the person on the furthest left, her hairstyle, you can tell it's very back in the days.
Right? So
Yeah.
this would be 77, maybe 78, but
Oh,
probably 77. ですよね. So as she's styling.
yeah. So
Big hair.
great. Okay. Now we, go to Portland. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the reasons that I came back was is Mount Hood. I should have put more pictures of Mount Hood in there, but actually this was during a little trip back just before we moved back, and with a buddy, just hiking up into the mountains, backpacking a week or so.
Wow.
Super nice. Oh well, there it is. It's Mount Hood ですよ.
Oh, 綺麗ですね.
So this is from the I went for a bike ride today, and you could see the mountain, of course, beautifully from Portland City. It's 日本に来ると、富士山みたい. And it is like Fujisan in a way. It has more pointed top. And it's not a walk-up mountain, but it's alone. It's a volcano. Like most of the Cascade Mountains are dormant volcanoes. So it's standing there alone, and it is beautiful. It's amazingly beautiful. And the city, that's the other reason I really wanted to keep going back and forth to Japan and Portland. It is a kind of unique place, and 最近ちょっと飲めなくなったけど as much, but beer culture really, G ビールというかクラフトビールが Portland is really what started that in the late 70s, early 1980s, because the laws changed where you could serve beer where you made it, which that didn't exist really anywhere in the US.
I see.
So the breweries and the tasting rooms could be in the same place, and that changed the industry. There was a tradition of brewing German immigrants in Oregon and Portland, but it always had to be taken somewhere else. And craft brewing, beer should be fresh mostly, not like wine. And so that started the trends. So now there's over 100 breweries, and there's like 120 in the greater Portland area.
Wow.
And there's in the natural resources, the waterfalls, the mountains, and the street scene, lively. It's not a big city. 市内は60万ぐらいで、around, 近郊の町というか郊外の町も入れて250万ぐらいですかね。Yeah, but it's until the pandemic, it's just a really unique place. Different. It was more laid back, but still so much fun. People, they say that during the Oregon Trail days, people were coming to get land, but then they found gold in California. So everyone who wanted to get rich turned south and went to California. And those who wanted a good quality of life stayed in Oregon. That's another reason why things are a little different here.
Yeah, I like personally, I really do like Portland, the way how it's a lot of nature, and then in the city it's just so compact. You can go, like by walking, by hiking.
Bicycle.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's another thing.
The quick shout out to the upper left photo, I think I see Yoko-san posing with
Oh,
you.
yeah. So,
Mm.
Yoko is still at the Nokanko Kyokai, Travel Portland. Not doing much international, but she's so good at everything else. And I had been there for 22 years. She was hired 5 years after me, I think.
Oh, wow.
Maybe six years after. So she's 2005, I think she was hired. So yeah, she's been there. And she's still working. Unfortunately, there's not much right now. It will come back from Japan, and Yoko will be able to take care of, and is now, and will be able to take care of all the needs of travelers. And I'll be around to help when needed too.
Yeah.
Because together we started this Old Naruto, Portland backwards. Odorando, 逆に書いたら Odo Naruto started this campaign.
Oh, interesting.
And there was a ad agency called White and Kennedy, and they said, well, let's make this kind of Sasquatch. Only make him a hipster, because Portland is known as like a hipster town. And so a kind of hipster Sasquatch guy, and we called him Old Naro. Well, actually, I gave him the name Old Naro Dude. And then he became really popular in Japan. And we actually won an award for the National US Travel Association. And that middle one is this getting an award. Yoko's up there in front. And that's me underneath the.
Yeah, this like little monster is very cute, and it's very outstanding, I think.
It got a lot of attention. It got a lot of attention in Japan. It worked well, and we still have the dude's around, so we'll see when he makes another appearance in public. And that one on the right is we have meetings with our partners, Delta Airlines and the Port of Portland, and when we went out to do a goat yoga, which also started in Oregon. Now it's quite popular around the states. Do yoga with goats. It's like they just they want to get it all up in there on your back. It's like,
it must feel nice with a goat massaging your back. Well, did it feel nice?
I was okay with it. Those hooves are pretty sharp, and
I see.
Fortunately, I have a cushioning layer of ちょっと油が背中でも乗ってんのかな。
そんな。
But yeah, it was fun. Crazy fun. Goat yoga.
Yes.
Portland's farmers market. There's so many yummy things. Fresh produce. もちろん新鮮な野菜とか有機栽培がほとんどなんだけどね。でも bakery goods are also
really good.
And then, there's jams, there's cured meats, there's bakery goods, and as well as fresh produce. So the farmers market だね、2月からかな、2月から本当にクリスマスまでね、やってないのは1月、12月の終わりから1月いっぱい、2月終わりまでかな。So most of the year it's there. In the winter it's root vegetable. In the fall, we have matsutake, great big matsutake, way less expensive than in Japan, but it's fresh from the ground.
今度食べてみたいです。
この前は高校時代の日本語の先生と松茸狩りに山の方に行っていっぱいいっぱい。
わ
あ。
アメリカ人はあまり食べないのかな、松茸。食べる
食べないね。知らな
あ
いんですよ。あんまり。
あ、
知られてないんですよ。If you go
ああ、
into like fancy cookbooks and
うん
things,
うん
you'll
うん
see it,
う
or
ん。う
fancy
んうんうん
restaurants.
うんうん。
Like
ああ、
truffles,
うんうんう
how
ん。
many
あ、
Americans really eat truffles? Not that many.
うんうん。
Um, but but a lot of these matsutake get exported to Japan. ね。
おお。
日本へ輸出されるんですよ。
ええ、
Yeah.
そりゃ。
松茸とね、もう一つびっくりするのはウニですね。
それは知らなかったです。
オレゴン海岸からですね。
うん。
カリフォルニアの北もあるかもしれないけど、
うんうん
南の方がちょっと too warm だね。
うんうんうん。
暖流ですから、そっちの
うんう
方が。
んうんうん。
もうオレゴン州で、ワシントン州がそういう海岸、同じような海岸がないんですよね。They have, the Puget Sound and then a long, straight, flat stretch, but it really takes kind of that suddenly deep, sort of rough ocean side to
うん
for the uni,
うん。
and um,
わあ。
so a lot of uni from Japan comes
う
from
ん。
Oregon.
おお。今度またなんかちょっとトライしてみようと思い
Yeah,
ます。おお。美
yeah,
味しいビールと一緒に本当に。
yeah.
うん
I will, I will,
うん
I will, I will. I really can't drink too much these days, but
うんうんうん。
I'll save it up so that when you come, I can have
Thank you. Yes,
like
just one.
this.
Yes, exactly.
Eileen,
うん。
この写真誰が撮ったんですか？
この写真は
え、
そう、
右の、
右、
陽子さんと二人の
多分
ビール飲んでる。
私が撮りました。うん。
That means that you
そう
must have had some. Oh, I can see them on the front there. Looks like you've been
あ
having some beers too.
Yes.
On the
え
table, I see
Yes.
that.
It was really delicious. I really like the pear one. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Ah,
うんうんうん。
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, was that
うん。
cider?
サイダー、うん。うん。
Yeah.
うん。
A pear cider,
うん。
hard
うん
pear
うんう
cider.
ん
あ、それ美味しいね。
うん。I should have bought some beer when I leave, but it's okay
Ah,
next time.
well, when you're flying, and I don't
うん
know.
うん
I don't know if you flew up or drove.
う
That's
ん
hard to carry
う
it.
んうん。I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun.
うん。Okay, let me stop share.
まあ、長くなってごめん。ごめん。
大丈夫ですよ。
喋りすぎ。
まだまだ、いや、そんなことないです。
You can you can break it up into episodes.
Yes. うん。But last not least, if you have like a message to your friends or whoever is watching this video, please go ahead.
In a way, this is the hardest because the times are so difficult and just too emotional not being there. But some of the most important people to me are in Japan, are from Japan, and unfortunately, a couple of them have passed since I left, and things have changed so much. But I do wish everyone really well, and of course, I'd always love to see them here, because as I think too, when you come to Portland, in Oregon in general, you become a fan. You can't help it. Things need to get a little better, maybe, before people are comfortable doing that, and before Portland's maybe ready again. They can always, if you can get here, though, you're going to have a good time, because we'll show you show you how. But I miss being there. I miss the hospitality and my dear friends who are there. Hang in there, because we are, and I want to see you both there and here. That's how you started out, really, this conversation. Is really, I love this place and I love that place, And there's nothing better than to see the people experience both. So my love to everyone over there, and the ones I haven't met yet too. Looking forward to that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jeff-san, for your lovely message. Yeah, and I hope you stay safe. Take care. Next time we will. Yes, next time we will have fun again in Portland. Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Take care now.
Yeah, beer and bikes and other things.
Bye bye now.
Thank you, Eileen. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Take care of yourself. Bye bye.